And we are back on the Yeah Coach podcast, where we encourage you to take action in life through the testimonies of others. And we have my good friend. I've known her for the past couple of months since I've been at Orange Theory Fitness. She graduated from the University of Louisville with her bachelor's degree in exercise science. She is a retired pageantee, and she's been with Orange Theory at 8 different locations around the United States for the past 4 years. She's now moving up to a higher position within another company. I welcome the Coach Ashley. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. You ready for today?
I'm ready.
Yeah. First question. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
What did you eat for breakfast?
I ate every morning oatmeal with a scoop of almond butter and then strawberry jelly, like a peanut butter and jelly oatmeal. And I just mix it up. It's so good.
Every morning?
Every morning.
Where did you get that from? Where did you get that recipe?
I used to do like overnight oats and it kind of gets old after a while because I just use like plain oatmeal. So it's not like the sweet sugary packets of, brown sugar or apple and cinnamon, like the good stuff. It's just a plain scoop. So you got to find ways to like flavor it up, spice it up. And that's been my go-to for a while now. It's just, I don't know. I just find what's in my pantry and I'm like, all right, let's try this. So sometimes I like mix in fruit, either like a chopped up banana. Sometimes if I'm out of peanut butter, I'll add like a scoop of protein powder, kind of give it like a chocolate taste. So yeah.
What you say you I'm assuming you used chocolate protein powder then?
Yeah.
Is that the only one you have?
Yeah.
How much of a fan are you of the PB Fit?
So I've had that before. My mom, I think, got me on that. And like it's nice, I guess, if you're really like tracking macros and you want something to be super lean, like cutting out the fat and stuff, but I just like the normal stuff. I usually do almond butter. I just feel like it digests better for me than peanut butter does. The PB Fit though, I like that if you mix it up. So, you get the powder, you mix a little bit of water, and then you can use it more so like a dip or like a paste. So like grab like a couple of strawberries and like dip it in there. That or put it on like rice cakes or something like that. I don't know. It's just like a different texture and like tastes a little different than normal peanut butter.
What? You're blowing my mind. So use it as a paste, like a dip, like a chips and dip.
Yeah.
Man. Now you made me want to dunk my Dunkaroos in the peanut butter, the PB Fit. Man, okay. All right. I might have to try that. And that breakfast. What's your go-to snack throughout the day?
Oh, see, I'm not really a big snacker. I'm like, give me the whole meal. I have, I go to Costco. So like I'm a big Costco person. So they have these granola bars that I really like. They're like the Kirkland brand. It's just like nuts. Just like a normal granola bar. It has like nuts and then like it's backed with chocolate on it. So I go to those, usually have some kind of fruit throughout the day, either bananas. I had peaches last week. Sometimes I have apples, whatever I have that week is what I snack on. And then sometimes when I'm in the mood for something like a little sugary, I'll have like a bowl of cereal, but I use almond milk and I'll put a scoop of protein powder in it. So it's like chocolate milk. It kind of like, it hides the taste of the almond milk. So it's like, oh, wow, I'm getting my protein in. I'm kind of sort of healthy despite the sugar that's loaded in the cereal. Because, like, I don't do healthy cereal. Like, I'm talking Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like,
yes.
That's the only thing accepted in my house. So, you can't get the best of both worlds. It's like a healthy twist to my cereal.
So, with you being in the fitness industry, you get since when now?
So I got certified as a personal trainer back in the beginning of 2018. So I was a junior in college. And shortly after that, I got my first gig or job, as a trainer. So I guess, almost 4.5 years now.
So with you being in the fitness industry for 4.5 years now, starting in college, how has your nutrition been? Saying, like, knowing what you eat in the morning, knowing that you don't like snacks, you like the whole meal. You put that absolutely blows my mind. I'm 100% gonna try putting that chocolate protein powder in my cinnamon toast crunch because I eat the chocolate cocoa pebbles anyway.
Yeah.
A Walmart brand anyway, but the best part about it is the chocolate milk.
Right.
But if I can use almond milk and put the chocolate protein, that changes everything. Like,
yeah.
everything. Have you always tracked what you eat? Do you track it now?
I've done a little bit of everything. It's been a lot of trial and error as far as my nutrition goes. So I grew up a competitive cheerleader. Didn't really track my nutrition as an athlete. But of course, moving into college, it was that weird transition of like, what do I do now? Like, no one's telling me when to work out or what to put in my mouth. It's all my decision. So, it's definitely hard in college because, one, you're balling on a tight budget. It's like, how am I supposed to buy groceries that will last me the full week without like starving and also not eating nothing but like sugar? Like, how am I supposed to be healthy and do this? So I went through a couple different phases. My sophomore year, I did, put on that college weight that everyone goes through. And that was definitely the freshman 15. But mine was my sophomore year. So it's a little different. And, like, my freshman year was fine. And then all of a sudden, halfway through sophomore year, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what happened? So I went through some different phases of like tracking calories and macros and stuff. And of course, that's what I was studying in college. So I was studying exercise science, learning all about that. And it's funny because like while you're studying it as your career or your major, you're like waiting for the professor to drop like the top secret of like, I was like waiting for it. I'm like, tell me what it is. Like, what do I have to do to get a nice body? And I was like waiting it my entire major. And I'm like, oh, you just got to be consistent. And, it's all about the equation of, energy in versus energy out. So, I went through some different diet phases. I started prepping for a bodybuilding competition my junior year. That ended up never going through because I got an internship and ended up moving across the country. But I think she really helped me learn how to kind of manipulate your macros with, the substituting almond milk plus protein powder and like finding certain ways to make healthy food fun. So that was super nice. But I'm sure, as you know, as a bodybuilding prep, like you have to be so meticulous on what you're eating. And it's like, one-off meal kind of skews like your progress for that week because you're on a time frame. So that got really frustrating and it's very strict and that's just not me. I don't like to obsess on what I'm going to eat. So after I graduated, I honestly, lost a lot of stress in my life because school wasn't there stressing me out. And I just find myself like more intuitive eating. Like, when are you hungry? Okay, let's find something to eat. When are you full? Okay, pack it up, put it in the fridge, save it for later type thing. So it came more of like a eat what you want in moderation, but obviously eat to fuel your body. Like, this is what's going to give me energy throughout the day. So do I want something that's processed or do I want something that's quality food that's going to make me feel good and not feel like crap by the end of the day? So it's turned more from a strict tracking to a more flexible, like intuitive eating style.
Okay. But this is something you'd have to, you learned over time
from
trial and error, though.
Oh, yeah. Because there's always that doubt in your mind when you've been tracking for so long. You're like, did I just eat too much? Like, I have no idea, like, the amount that I just put in my body. Like, oh, my God. Like, I'm going to gain a pound overnight. And, like, I feel like that's kind of how we see our clients when they try to transition to that as well. It's like they don't know how to just eat like a normal human being, especially in the society that we've grown up in where it's 1,200 calorie diets or, keto or Atkins or don't eat sugar, don't eat fat, high protein, low protein. And it's like, what is the correct thing to do? So it was definitely a transition period of like trusting your body. And, you have specific hormones that give you hunger cues of when you're hungry, when you're full, what you need. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? So it's like you have to learn how to listen to your body and give it what it needs.
what are some of the signs that you can pick up on of paying attention to what your body needs?
Yeah.
How do you know?
So specifically like learning in school, you break down the macros, your carbs, your fats, your proteins. Obviously, everyone knows you need protein in your diet, especially when you exercise as much as you do as an instructor or a personal trainer. You need that protein to rebuild your muscle. My rule of thumb is I try to add protein to every meal. And what people forget is like you can get protein from plant-based foods. Like you don't have to go eat a whole chicken in every meal to be like, oh, I got my protein
Like a
in.
cartoon hamburger.
And it's so sad because especially when you work with women, a lot of women are afraid of consuming carbs or consuming fats. And it's like, there's a healthy way to do it, especially as a woman, because consuming the correct fats, you're supporting your hormone health. And as women, we have hormones fluctuating day by day. So it's like, if you don't have the correct amount of fats like in your diet, you're probably going to feel mood swings. You're going to feel cranky. Like, just like you do when it's that time of month, you're probably going to feel like that all the time. And then as far as carbs, like, that's what your brain uses for energy. So it's like if you've got brain fog, if you don't have enough energy to make it through a workout, kind of listening to your energy, your sleep, your recovery. If you're working out and you're so sore that you can't even get to the next workout, it's like, well, how are you recovering? And that recovery includes your nutrition. So just picking up on more of those kind of cues, not necessarily like, am I hungry or am I not? Like, how are you feeling?
Huh. I like that. Because not everybody knows, not everybody knows, like, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I feel good? It's like a yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, where do I go from there?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, oh, I need a nutritionist, I need a dietitian, because I don't know how to read those feelings.
Right.
I need someone to like really break it down meal by meal, calorie by calorie. Then they get to where they're counting every single calorie.
number. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to go crazy. Like, it's not that serious on like what number is where, because it'll all usually balance out over the course of the week. Like one day, your protein might be a little high, but then the next day it might be a little low. So it kind of averages out where it should be, if that makes sense. So it's just like, it takes time. It's definitely not something that you can just one day be like, oh, I'm going to intuitive eat and I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Like it's definitely hard on you mentally, just because it's like, is this actually working? Especially when you have specific goals to work toward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then I think my next question would be, I'm going to rewind back a little bit.
Yeah.
On you sitting in class and you're just waiting for that one secret thing that's like, all right, so what do I do? What can you tell me to make the biggest change? Besides consistency, what extra added benefit could someone do?
Well, as far as like training, it's always like progressive overload. It's like, are you giving your body something new to adapt to? If you wake up and do the same workout you've been doing for 20 years, like, yeah, you're going to be good at that one workout, but you're not necessarily increasing your intensity to increase the muscle fiber recruitment, to build more muscle, to increase your metabolic rate, which in return, like, you might be consuming less and less food to be able to maintain where you're at. Where it's like, if you're consistently challenging yourself to progress more than what you did last time, and it may be one more rep, it could be 5 seconds less on that recovery. It could be, 1 count slower on your time under tension. So, you're coming down slower on your exercise. It could just be that one thing to progressively make you one step better than your last workout. And that's helping you, 1, get stronger, 2, build more muscle. And in return, you're allowing your body to increase its metabolic rate, which means the more muscle you have, the more calories you're burning at rest, which we all love it, which means the more food you can eat throughout the day. And I think that's really where I saw my progress. I stopped tracking my food. I started eating to where I felt, nourished. I wasn't, sometimes when you count your calories, it's also individualized that maybe the formula doesn't fit your body. So it's like I could be eating what the app says to eat and I'm still starving. Well, that means your body needs more food. And if it doesn't have the food that it needs, then it doesn't have the energy to build more muscle. So you're just constantly breaking down more tissue and you're kind of running in place toward your fitness goal. Your fitness goal is across the room and you ain't moving one step closer. So once I started listening to my body and kind of eating intuitively, like I wasn't binge eating. I wasn't just eating carelessly. I was listening to my body, making healthy choices. That's when I saw the most progress. Like I saw my body start to recomposition itself. My muscles started showing more, probably because they were fuller. So what if, you fill up with 5 more pounds because your body actually has carbs to store in the muscles, which is going to hold on to a little extra water weight. Just because your weight goes up doesn't mean that you don't look as good. You're probably going to look better, honestly, because you look fuller. Your muscles do, at least, which is what we all strive for. You always get that member that comes in and says, I want to tone up. How many carbs are you eating? Go eat a box of carbs and then come back to me and let me know how you feel.
I think it reminds me of a video that I saw scrolling through. Yes, everybody will say it's scrolling through TikTok or Reels, but it was about Jason Momoa, how he got prepped for an underwater scene.
Yeah.
And he naturally has thick skin, which means his veins don't pop out. And like you kind of want that in those scenes. So he was going to do it. He was like, his trainer was like, he can't get him to pop out. He told his trainer to go get him a Guinness. He chugged the Guinness and his veins just exploded, popped out. And it was like, wow. and that, because the blood flow, it just made everything pop. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just those carbohydrates from that drink.
Well, and that's kind of how it happens, like in a bodybuilding competition. So it's like you're prepping, which you're normally cutting down carbs to lean out as much as possible. And in that final week, you kind of go through a carb cycle where you'll carb up either, the day before. Everyone kind of has their own individual timeline on when they peak their body composition, but getting those extra carbohydrates and, you mix it up with carbs and water as well because they go hand in hand on making you look fuller, but it's the same thing. It's like you kind of have to refill your body up and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, my muscles are huge and like I look nice and plump and there's this contrast between like my muscles. So yeah, got to make sure you eat enough.
I think to add on top of that, because to understand, like to comprise, I think everything you said, of changing the way that you work out from that 1 second more on that eccentric movement or different plane of motion. But being able to change requires you to be able to not just track your diet, but track your exercises.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the easiest way for people or coaches, instructors, personal trainers to be able to see progress within their clients or within themselves is to know what they've already done.
Yes.
And
I think for me, it also changed when my workouts turned to more of a performance-based workout. So it's like, you can go to a trainer and they're going to give you probably some body split, legs one day, chest the next day, whatever. And it's like, you're just kind of going through the motions, but it's like, what if we make a goal that I want to squat my body weight? Well, now you have a reason to continue to increase your weight or, play with your reps or your rest or your time under tension, whatever it might be. So you're focusing more on your performance, but in return, it's affecting your actual physique. And I mean, that can go on multiple things. Like I've had goals on, I wanted to be able to do 10 push-ups or I want to do a pull-up or I want to be able to run a mile, anything. I think it's cool being able to see like what your body can accomplish. So that kind of really motivates me in making performance goals. But I think that's also where I saw the most progress in myself physically.
Interesting. I love hearing stories. Thank you. Like I haven't said thank you for being on yet. And I usually say that right at the beginning. But thank you. We want to transition a little bit.
Okay.
Still focused fitness wise, but I want to know the way that you think a a little bit better because everyone thinks a little bit differently. Would you say you are more of a logical thinker or emotional?
I think the older and more mature that I've gotten, I'm definitely more logical. If you would have asked like 15-year-old me, I probably wouldn't like admit that I was an emotional thinker, but 100%, just those teenage hormones. But definitely the older that I get, and I feel like I'm becoming more and more responsible for myself and my decisions and my future. You have to be logical. And in my eyes, I feel like it's like I am a risk taker, so that's not always logical. But I think you have to be logical to a certain extent to be able to succeed in anything. It's like there's got to be some kind of plan, a goal in mind, to keep you pushing forward.
Okay. With us knowing that, then, for me, when you look in the mirror, sometimes you define yourself by the things you haven't, by the things you've already done. You're like, oh, I've achieved this, this, this. I feel so great, even if it's day-to-day things. For you, Ashley, do you define your character or your success by the things that you've done or the things that you've yet to do? The goals that you haven't hit yet, the accomplishments or the milestones you haven't achieved?
I say a little bit of both. I look back at everything that I've done and I'm like, I cannot believe like I'm where I'm at today. Like if you would have asked me a year ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing, I'm like, I don't know how I did it. I just kept pushing and somehow I got here. But it's like I'm very ambitious, so I always have something that I'm working toward. So I know there is so much room for growth in my life and my career and my family to like stop here or just to define myself for what I've done. But I do like celebrating how far I've come and everything that I've already done. But I look forward to what I have yet to do. If that answers your question.
It does in a way, but also leads me to my next one.
Yeah.
So Ashley, what do you plan to do next? What is your next step in this fitness industry? You want to build your own gym long term? Like, what does the future look like for you?
Yeah. So the past 4 years, I've been working as a group fitness instructor, certified personal trainer, working one-on-one clients. I've had a couple management positions where I oversaw a team of trainers and built up a personal training program. Right now, I'm actually moving into another management role with another company called F45. So I'm going to be a regional performance manager. And honestly, if you would have asked me 4 years ago what my dream job was, this would be it. Because I get to travel around to all different locations and I get to train and develop the staff within that studio. So we're looking at performance numbers, how is the studio performing as a whole? Where are we missing the steps? Like where can we better the members' experience? And I feel like the past 4 years, I've been working hard at gaining that experience and becoming the best trainer that I can to my members and my clients. And it's like, I've always wanted to get to that point where I can help develop other trainers to become their full potential or, at least a better version of themselves over the course of a time period. So that's what I'm super excited about right now. And that's what I plan to do for the foreseeable future. I've thought about maybe opening my gym one day or my own gym one day, but I honestly haven't sat down to really think about what that would look like or what my niche would be. Would it be personal training? Would it be group fitness? I don't know. I'm not there yet, but I believe I have a long life to live. So, that dream will come to me eventually. But I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at now that I'm trying to just enjoy this phase, enjoy this position. And, hopefully this will build me up and get me set for whatever's next in my career or in life.
Wow. So seeing where you were,
Yeah.
where you are now, and what is coming in the future for you, like Never would have thought. You never would have thought you'd be here
At least
5 years ago.
not within 4.5 years.
It reminds me of a huge statement. Says we overestimate what we can do in 10 years, but underestimate what we can do in 10 years, but overestimate what we can do in a year.
Yeah.
And it's
And I
crazy.
it's not necessarily that I didn't think that I could do it.
Mhm.
It was one, there has to be the opportunity there, and it's like, I feel like, once people get into these type of positions, like, it's a great opportunity. So it's like, how often are these actually going to come available? How often are people going to either get promoted, leave their job? How often is that position going to be in front of my very eyes for me to take, So like, that's a part of my reason of like, I'm over the moon that I'm here, but it's also like, I'm somewhat fresh. I like to think I'm fresh out of college. So it's like, I'm young in my career. So I've had a tough time. I feel like with other managers kind of shooting it to me straight. I remember in one of my management jobs, I was probably a year out of college, kind of during COVID. And I just wasn't happy in the position. Like, the plan was they were going to open multiple locations and I was going to become a regional manager eventually once that happened. But the manager was very straightforward and I was just like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. Like, you're overworking me and underpaying me. He expected me to be there 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was on salary. And I was like, listen, like, you're going to have to do something because I can't pay my bills. Like, I took a pay cut from my last job. And he was like, you're fresh out of college. You're not worth 30 grand. And I was like, 30 grand? Like, we're in the middle of a shutdown. Like, how is anyone living on 30 grand? Honestly. And I'm in a management role. Like, I can go work at you. Yeah, I can go somewhere else and get paid way more than that. And, it was like, Ashley, you have a great future. Like, you keep working hard and like, you're going to be moving up quickly. And it's like, but then it was, if you put in, these long days and you sacrifice, some years, by the time you're 30, you'll be a regional manager. And like, by the time I'm 30, you want me to take 8 years of working 99% of the year for less than 30 grand? I'm like, the math is just not adding up. So I think back to that experience and like, that's what humbles me is like, I recognize like my worth and it's like, I know my work ethic is strong. Maybe not 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, but I'm like, I'm a hard worker and I love learning and developing myself. So it's like, there's got to be something else. So I was just like, this ain't it. I got to learn somewhere else. And so I left that and didn't really know when that was going to come back full circle. It's like, he made it seem like, oh, this is going to be your opportunity. But it's like, where else can I go where I'm going to get that opportunity? So, man. And I mean, there's been other managers that definitely try to knock you down and it's hard to try to pick up the pieces and to keep pushing. So you just got to know what you want and be like, well, if you're not going to give it to me, I gotta go find it somewhere else. So
I think that's another reason why I wanted to start these podcasts, why I wanted to tell stories, tell the testimonies of others, because the courage comes from your community. And for me, I don't dig deep down. I get it from the examples, from the people that have already done it or have the experience. That believe in me, like that, take that step first so that I can walk behind them or walk with them in most cases. And what you're wanting to do you want to lead leaders. And yeah. I'm super excited to see what you're going to do the next couple of years. Hopefully we can still stay in touch. We're going to make it a mission to stay in touch. I want to see, because the past three or 4 months now, it's really ironic. I've been seeing F45 pop up on my feed. I'm like, oh, shoot, something new. Mark Wahlberg? Oh,
yeah,
shoot. I've been seeing it. And I was like, oh, where are they? and there ain't any. I don't think there are any too close here in Lexington or in Kentucky in general.
Yeah.
But it was ironic that you were getting that regional position. I was like, I just found out about this gym.
Heck yeah.
But I'm really, really excited to see you go and lead leaders. I can hear and see the passion of you wanting to progress and grow and not just be good at what you do, but to help others be good at what they do as well. And I want to go to F45 and take a class. So I'm not sure how the structure works, class, personal training, what it is, but I want to try it. I think one of the last questions I have for you.
Okay.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
What would you say to someone wanting to get into the fitness industry, either start their fitness journey or be a fitness coach? What would you say?
Just try. That's it. I tell every member that comes to me, I'm like, the hardest thing was walking through that door. You're here, I'll take it from here. You know? And as far as on a business career aspect, it's more so one of my best mentors told me the smartest person in the room knows that they don't know everything. So you've got to be willing to learn and grow each and every day from each and every person. You know, even if you've been doing it longer than someone else, there's always new stuff coming out and you can always learn from someone. And it's never a bad time to start learning. Hop on Instagram. There's so many educated people that post videos. You know, there's so many certifications, books you can read, internships, dive in deep. You know, you don't necessarily need a full degree. And you don't even necessarily need a certification to start learning. Obviously, you still need a certification to actually get a job in the fitness industry. When it comes to your fitness journey, start small. Don't overcomplicate it. Go outside, get 30 minutes of a walk in. You know, maybe try to do 1 push-up, start with 5 squats, maybe a couple jump jacks, go from there. When you're feeling good, feeling confident, you can build off of it. I know it's huge that there's intimidation in the gym. So, you know, there's always gym or at-home workouts that you can look at just to get you started. And when you're like, okay, I can do this, then maybe that's your next step of getting somewhere, getting a trainer, hopping into a group fitness class, getting more guidance, educating yourself along your journey. So I think the biggest thing is just do it. Just start.
Man, what a story. What advice.
I've got more. We can keep going. I'm just kidding. Not really. I mean, we can keep going.
Man, I would love to keep going right now. We want to try to keep these podcasts around that 30-minute mark. And we would just right about hit that. Thank you.
Of course.
Towards the end, I really want to say thank you. Man, I'm just I'm digesting everything that we've talked about and compiling it into like an outro right now. Just, wow. Well, that wraps up that episode of the Yeah Coach podcast with Coach Ashley. There's one more thing that we have to do before we leave. You know what we have to do.
Yeah.
We say Yeah Coach. The reason why Yeah Coach came about is because you incite encouragement, you incite action, you incite hypeness. So it's kind of like saying hell yeah.
Okay.
Like, so you're like, hell yeah. Like, you encourage someone to take action to do something. You encourage someone to talk to a girl or a guy they're uncomfortable talking to. Or you just beat someone in Madden and you're like, yeah, coach. Like, you're getting hype. So we got to say that on the count of 3.
Okay.
You ready? And we're going to back up from the mic a little bit because it's going to pick us up here, all right? You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, coach.
I'll see y'all next time. Thank you all for listening.